The history of Muslim empires is a vast tapestry woven with triumphs, innovations, struggles, and profound cultural achievements. Stretching from the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula to the great cities of Baghdad, Cairo, Istanbul, and Delhi, the story of these empires is one of remarkable influence on the course of world history. Yet, despite their significance, many stories that shaped these empires have faded from popular memory, overshadowed by broader historical narratives or forgotten altogether. This collection aims to bring those overlooked tales back to light, exploring the human experiences and pivotal moments that defined the rise and fall of Muslim empires across centuries. From the early days of the Umayyads and Abbasids to the medieval splendor of the Ottomans and the artistic brilliance of the Mughals, these empires not only commanded vast territories but also became centers of learning, culture, and innovation. They nurtured scholars who advanced mathematics, medicine, and astronomy, poets and artists who enriched literature and visual arts, and leaders whose political and military strategies shaped the destiny of millions. Their legacy is visible in the architecture of majestic mosques, the codification of laws, and the spread of ideas that bridged continents. Yet beneath these grand narratives lie countless stories of individuals and communities whose contributions, conflicts, and everyday lives have largely gone unnoticed. This book endeavors to uncover these hidden stories, illuminating moments of courage, creativity, intrigue, and tragedy that reveal a more nuanced and vibrant picture of Islamic civilization. Through these 100 stories, readers will encounter not just the great rulers and famous battles, but also the scholars who preserved knowledge during times of upheaval, the women who influenced courts and culture, the merchants who connected distant lands, and the diverse peoples who lived under these empires' wide-ranging rule. Each story is a thread in the rich fabric of history that shows how these empires rose to power, flourished, and eventually faced decline, often under the weight of internal divisions, external invasions, or changing world dynamics. By revisiting these forgotten narratives, this book hopes to challenge simplistic understandings of Muslim empires as static or monolithic entities. Instead, it portrays them as dynamic and complex societies that were deeply connected to global developments, continuously evolving through interaction with other cultures and ideas. This approach highlights the resilience and adaptability of Muslim civilizations, as well as the challenges they faced in maintaining unity and identity across vast territories and diverse populations. Ultimately, these stories remind us that history is not just a record of dates and events, but a collection of human experiences that resonate across time. Rediscovering these forgotten Islamic stories enriches our understanding of the past and invites us to appreciate the profound impact of Muslim empires on the cultural and intellectual heritage of the world. Whether you are a student of history, a curious reader, or someone interested in the shared stories that connect humanity, this book offers a compelling journey into an often overlooked chapter of history, one full of life, complexity, and enduring significance. 1. The rise of the Umayyads. The Umayyad Caliphate, 661–750 CE, marked the first great Muslim dynasty, transforming the nascent Islamic state into a sprawling empire stretching from Spain to India. Founded by Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan after the first civil war in Islam, the Umayyads centralized power in Damascus and established a hereditary monarchy, which was a significant shift from the earlier elective caliphate system. Their reign was marked by vast military expansions, administrative reforms, and cultural exchanges. Under their leadership, Islamic rule reached the Iberian Peninsula, initiating centuries of Muslim presence in Europe. The Umayyads also introduced Arabic as the administrative language, unifying diverse populations under a common culture. However, their rule faced resistance, particularly from those who viewed their leadership as illegitimate or corrupt, leading to the Abbasid Revolution. Despite their fall, the Umayyads left a lasting legacy in governance, architecture, and the spread of Islam. 2. The First Muslim Navy Battle. The Battle of the Masts, or Battle of Phoenix, in 655 CE was the first major naval engagement fought by the early Muslim Empire against the Byzantine fleet. Under the command of Abdallah ibn Sa'd, the Muslim navy defeated the Byzantines off the coast of Lycia, modern Turkey. This victory was pivotal because it demonstrated the growing naval capabilities of the Muslim state, which until then had focused mainly on land conquests. The triumph opened Mediterranean sea routes, enabling Muslim fleets to challenge Byzantine dominance, secure trade routes, and support future expansions. It also established Muslim presence in maritime warfare, setting a precedent for later powerful naval empires like the Ottomans. 3. The founding of Baghdad. Founded in 762 CE by the Abbasid Caliph al-Mansur, Baghdad quickly became the heart of the Islamic Golden Age. Designed as a circular city with the Caliph's palace at its center, Baghdad was a marvel of urban planning and architectural ingenuity. Its strategic location on the Tigris River facilitated trade and communication between Asia, Africa, and Europe. Baghdad became a vibrant cultural and intellectual hub, housing the famed House of Wisdom where scholars translated and preserved Greek, Persian, and Indian knowledge. The city's libraries, universities, and academies attracted philosophers, scientists, and poets, making it the intellectual capital of the medieval world. Baghdad's founding symbolized the Abbasid vision of a cosmopolitan empire that celebrated knowledge and diversity. 4. Harun al-Rashid's court. Harun al-Rashid r. 786–809 CE presided over the Abbasid Caliphate during its golden era, famed for his patronage of the arts and sciences. His court in Baghdad was legendary for its opulence, intrigue, and intellectual vibrancy. The Caliph supported scholars like al-Khwarizmi and poets like Abu Nuwas, fostering advancements in mathematics, astronomy, and literature. The stories of his reign inspired the famed 1001 Nights tales. Harun's rule was marked by diplomatic ties with distant empires, including Charlemagne's Frankish kingdom, showcasing the Caliphate's global influence. Though his reign faced internal challenges, his legacy remains a symbol of cultural flourishing and the height of Abbasid power. 5. The translation movement. During the Abbasid period, especially in the 8th and 9th centuries, Baghdad became a beacon of knowledge through the translation movement. Scholars at the House of Wisdom translated vast works of Greek philosophy, Persian literature, and Indian science into Arabic. This initiative preserved and enhanced classical knowledge, blending it with Islamic thought. Figures like Hunayn ibn Ishaq translated texts by Aristotle, Galen, and Hippocrates, making these ideas accessible to Muslim scholars. This fusion of knowledge propelled breakthroughs in medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and philosophy, profoundly influencing the European Renaissance centuries later. The translation movement was a cornerstone of the Islamic Golden Age, underscoring the value of cultural exchange and intellectual curiosity. 6. The fall of the Umayyads in Spain. Though the Umayyads lost power in the Middle East, a branch of the family established the Emirate of Córdoba in Spain in 756 CE, which later became a caliphate. This Western Umayyad dynasty flourished, turning Córdoba into a center of learning, culture, and tolerance. However, internal strife, political fragmentation, and rising Christian kingdoms weakened their hold. In 1031 CE, the Caliphate of Córdoba collapsed, dividing into smaller Taifa kingdoms. The fall of Umayyads in Spain marked the end of Muslim political unity on the Iberian Peninsula but paved the way for rich cultural exchanges between Muslims, Christians, and Jews that influenced Europe's development. 7. The Abbasid Civil War. The Abbasid Caliphate was not immune to internal conflict. In the mid-9th century, rival factions vied for control, culminating in the civil war known as the Anarchy at Samarra. This period saw several caliphs assassinated and power struggles between military commanders, particularly the Turkish slave soldiers, Gilman. The instability weakened central authority, encouraging regional governors and rival dynasties to assert independence. This fracturing contributed to the gradual decline of Abbasid power and the rise of localized Islamic states. Yet, despite political chaos, the cultural and scientific achievements of the Abbasids continued to thrive. 8. The House of Wisdom. The Beit al-Hikmah, or House of Wisdom, founded in Baghdad under Caliph al-Ma'mun in the early 9th century, was the epicenter of the Islamic Golden Age's intellectual activity. It served as a library, research institute, and translation center. Scholars gathered here to translate, study, and expand knowledge in fields like mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. Figures such as al-Kindi and al-Farabi worked within its walls. The House of Wisdom fostered collaboration among Muslim, Christian, and Jewish scholars, making it a symbol of multicultural intellectual exchange. Its contributions laid foundations for many modern scientific disciplines. 9. The invention of algebra. One of the most enduring contributions of Islamic civilization to mathematics was the development of algebra by the Persian scholar Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi in the 9th century. Writing the book Al-Kitab al-Mukhtasar fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabala, from which the term algebra is derived, he introduced systematic methods for solving linear and quadratic equations. His work revolutionized mathematics by moving away from purely geometric approaches toward symbolic and abstract reasoning. Al-Khwarizmi's algorithms influenced not only the Islamic world but also Europe, where Latin translations sparked advances in arithmetic and computation. 10. The role of women in early caliphates. Though often overlooked, women played important roles in the early Islamic empires, both politically and culturally. Influential figures like Aisha, wife of Prophet Muhammad, shaped early Islamic jurisprudence and political life. Women in the Umayyad and Abbasid periods could own property, engage in business, and receive education. Some, such as Zubaydah bint Jafar, wife of Harun al-Rashid, were patrons of public works and charity. Women also contributed as poets, scholars, and spiritual leaders, particularly within Sufi circles. While their experiences varied widely by time and region, women's contributions were integral to the fabric of Islamic society and culture. 11. The decline of Abbasid power. The Abbasid Caliphate, once a dominant force in the Islamic world, gradually weakened due to internal strife, decentralization, and external pressures. After the anarchy at Samarra in the 9th century, where military factions repeatedly overthrew caliphs, Abbasid authority became symbolic rather than actual. Regional governors, military leaders, and emerging dynasties such as the Fatimids and Buyids carved out autonomous states. The caliphs often became puppets controlled by powerful warlords. Additionally, the Mongol invasion in 1258 dealt a catastrophic blow when Hulagu Khan sacked Baghdad, ending Abbasid political dominance. Despite the political decline, the Abbasids remained religious figureheads in Cairo under the Mamluks until the Ottoman conquest. The decline illustrates how a once mighty empire fragmented, yet its cultural and intellectual legacy endured across Islamic civilization. 12. The Crusades and Muslim resistance. The Crusades, beginning in 1096, were a series of religious wars initiated by European Christians to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim control. While often portrayed in Western narratives as dramatic confrontations, the Crusades were complex military and political campaigns with shifting alliances. Muslim rulers like Saladin emerged as formidable leaders, uniting factions and successfully recapturing Jerusalem in 1187. Muslim resistance involved strategic diplomacy, military innovation, and coalition building among diverse Muslim states. The Crusades also spurred cultural exchanges and affected trade, with Muslim cities like Damascus and Cairo flourishing despite the conflict. This period highlighted both the resilience and fragmentation within the Muslim world, shaping subsequent relations between East and West. 13. The Mongol siege of Baghdad. In 1258, the Mongols under Hulagu Khan besieged Baghdad, the thriving Abbasid capital and intellectual center. The Mongol forces overwhelmed the city's defenses after weeks of siege, resulting in widespread destruction. The Mongols massacred residents, destroyed libraries, including the House of Wisdom, and ended centuries of Abbasid rule. This event shocked the Muslim world and symbolized the vulnerability of even the greatest empires. However, the Mongol invasion also accelerated political and cultural changes. Some Mongols converted to Islam, leading to new Muslim dynasties in Persia and Central Asia. Baghdad eventually recovered as a cultural hub but never regained its former political dominance. The siege marks a turning point in Islamic history, underscoring the fragility of empire amid shifting power dynamics. 14. The rise of regional dynasties. As central Abbasid authority waned, various regional dynasties rose to fill the power vacuum across the Islamic world. The Fatimids in North Africa and Egypt established a rival Shia caliphate, promoting arts, trade, and architecture, including founding Cairo. The Buyids, a Persian dynasty, controlled Baghdad and the Abbasid caliphs politically. In Spain, the Umayyads' descendants ruled independently. These dynasties often had distinct cultural and religious identities yet shared Islamic traditions. Their emergence diversified Islamic governance and culture, reflecting the empire's complexity. Although they weakened centralized control, these regional powers preserved and expanded Islamic civilization during times of political fragmentation. 15. Early Islamic medicine. Islamic physicians inherited and expanded on Greek, Persian, and Indian medical knowledge, leading to significant advancements during the medieval period. Figures like Al-Razi, Rhazes, and Ibn Sina, Avicenna, wrote influential medical texts that combined practical experience with philosophy. Ibn Sina's Canon of Medicine became a medical authority for centuries in both the Islamic world and Europe. Hospitals by Maristans flourished in cities like Baghdad and Cairo, offering care to diverse populations. Islamic medicine emphasized hygiene, pharmacology, surgery, and holistic care, blending science and ethics. This tradition preserved and enriched medical knowledge, laying foundations for modern medicine and showcasing the intellectual vibrancy of Muslim empires. 16. The use of paper and printing. The introduction of paper to the Muslim world in the 8th century, likely from Chinese prisoners of war, revolutionized record-keeping, education, and culture. Paper was cheaper and easier to produce than parchment, enabling widespread copying of books, scientific treatises, and administrative documents. Muslim scholars improved paper-making techniques, spreading it throughout the Islamic Empire and eventually to Europe. This innovation facilitated the rapid dissemination of knowledge during the Islamic Golden Age and supported institutions like the House of Wisdom. Although printing presses appeared later, the groundwork laid by papermaking significantly impacted intellectual and cultural development. 17. Islamic poetry and literature. Poetry was a revered art form in Islamic culture, often intertwined with religion, politics, and society. Early Arabic poetry preserved tribal histories and values, evolving under the Abbasids into sophisticated literary expression. Poets like Al-Mutanabbi and Abu Nuwas captured themes of love, valor, satire, and mysticism. The Abbasid era saw the compilation of 1001 Nights, a treasure trove of folklore blending myth, adventure, and moral lessons. Literature flourished in multiple languages, Arabic, Persian, and later Turkish, reflecting the empire's cultural diversity. Poetry and prose were vehicles for intellectual debate and spiritual exploration, shaping Islamic cultural identity. 18. The role of Sufism. Sufism, the mystical dimension of Islam, gained prominence during the early centuries of Muslim empires. Sufi orders emphasized personal spirituality, asceticism, and the pursuit of divine love through meditation, poetry, and music. Figures like Al-Ghazali and Rumi became spiritual leaders whose writings influenced Islamic theology and culture deeply. Sufi brotherhood spread across vast regions, appealing to diverse social classes and facilitating the spread of Islam in South Asia and Africa. Their focus on inner experience and tolerance sometimes clashed with orthodox authorities but enriched Islamic thought. offering alternative paths to faith and community. 19. The fall of the Abbasids in Cairo. After the Mongol sack of Baghdad, the Abbasid Caliphate was re-established in Cairo under the Mamluk Sultanate's patronage in the 13th century. Though the caliphs in Cairo held little political power, they retained religious legitimacy as symbolic leaders of Sunni Islam. This arrangement helped the Mamluks solidify their rule and rally Muslim populations against Crusaders and later Ottoman encroachment. The Cairo Abbasids contributed to religious scholarship and judicial affairs, maintaining a spiritual continuity despite political fragmentation. Their presence underscored the complex interplay between religious authority and political power in the Muslim world. 20. The Fatimid Caliphate. The Fatimid Caliphate, 909–1171, was a Shia dynasty originating in North Africa that challenged Abbasid Sunni dominance. They established their capital in Cairo, building monumental structures like Al-Azhar University, which remains a center of Islamic learning. The Fatimids promoted arts, trade, and religious tolerance, ruling a diverse population across North Africa, Egypt, and parts of the Levant. Their navy controlled crucial Mediterranean trade routes. The Fatimid Caliphate contributed to Islamic scholarship, especially in theology and philosophy. Despite eventual decline due to internal strife and external pressures, the Fatimids left a lasting cultural and religious legacy, particularly within Shia Islam. 21. The Battle of Talis. In 751 CE, the Battle of Talis became a pivotal clash between the Abbasid Caliphate and the Chinese Tang dynasty near the Talis River in Central Asia. This battle stopped Chinese westward expansion and secured Muslim control over Central Asia. The Abbasid victory helped spread Islam in the region and ensured control of the Silk Road trade routes. One remarkable outcome was the transfer of paper-making technology from Chinese prisoners to the Muslim world, which revolutionized communication and learning. The battle highlighted the geopolitical significance of the region and demonstrated how military encounters could facilitate cultural and technological exchanges. It remains a crucial turning point in Islamic and world history. 22. Early Islamic trade networks. Islamic empires thrived due to vast and sophisticated trade networks that connected Asia, Africa, and Europe. Merchants traveled across deserts, seas, and mountains, exchanging goods such as spices, textiles, precious metals, and books. Cities like Baghdad, Cairo, and Damascus became bustling commercial hubs. Muslim traders helped spread not only products but also ideas, technologies, and religions, including Islam itself. The use of a unified currency, letters of credit, and caravanserais facilitated commerce. These networks linked the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean and the Silk Road, making Islamic empires critical players in the global economy during the medieval period. Trade fostered cultural diversity and economic prosperity, underpinning the empire's stability and growth. 23. The role of slavery. Slavery was a complex institution in Muslim empires, differing from European models in many ways. Slaves could be soldiers, administrators, artisans, or domestic workers. Unlike chattel slavery, Islamic law provided some protections, such as rights to freedom and humane treatment. The Mamluks, for example, were slave soldiers who rose to political power, establishing their own dynasty in Egypt. Slaves could gain influence, marry, and sometimes hold official positions. However, slavery was also intertwined with military conquest and the empire's expansion. The institution reflected the social and economic realities of the time, with its own rules and moral debates within Islamic jurisprudence. Understanding slavery in Muslim empires requires a nuanced perspective on its role and impact. 24. The Umayyad Mosque. Built in the early 8th century in Damascus under the Umayyads, the Umayyad Mosque is one of the world's oldest and most significant mosques. It was constructed on the site of a Roman temple and a Christian basilica, reflecting the layered religious history of the region. The mosque features grand architecture with expansive prayer halls, intricate mosaics, and a large courtyard, It became a center of worship, scholarship, and community life. The mosque also holds religious significance as it is believed to contain the head of John the Baptist, a figure revered in both Islam and Christianity. The Umayyad Mosque stands as a symbol of early Islamic architectural innovation and the blending of cultures within the empire. 25. The development of Islamic law. Islamic law, or Sharia, developed over centuries as scholars interpreted the Quran and Hadith to address new social and political issues. Early jurists codified legal principles in schools of thought such as Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali, which guided personal conduct, commerce, criminal justice, and governance. The Abbasids supported these developments by establishing courts and legal institutions. Islamic law emphasized justice, community welfare, and ethical behavior, balancing religious teachings with practical governance. It was adaptable, allowing regional variations while maintaining unity through shared principles. The system shaped societal norms and political authority, influencing not only Muslim societies but also interactions with other cultures and legal traditions. 26. The rise of the Seljuks. The Seljuk Turks, originally from Central Asia, emerged as a dominant power in the 11th century, revitalizing Sunni Islam and halting the spread of Shia Fatimid influence. They conquered large parts of Persia, Iraq, and Anatolia, establishing a powerful empire that served as a bridge between the Islamic world and Byzantium. The Seljuks reformed administration and military organization, supported Islamic scholars, and patronized architecture, founding cities like Isfahan. They played a crucial role in defending the Muslim world during the Crusades, strengthening religious unity and political stability. Their reign laid groundwork for later empires such as the Ottomans. 27. The Battle of Manzikert. In 1071 CE, the Battle of Manzikert marked a decisive victory for the Seljuk Turks against the Byzantine Empire near modern-day eastern Turkey. The defeat weakened Byzantine control over Anatolia and opened the region to Turkish settlement and influence. This battle was crucial in shaping the demographic and political landscape of the Middle East and paved the way for the eventual rise of the Ottoman Empire. It also marked the beginning of intensified conflicts between Christian and Muslim powers, influencing the launching of the First Crusade. The battle remains a symbol of the shifting balance of power in medieval Eurasia. 28. The founding of the Mamluk Sultanate. In the mid-13th century, the Mamluks, originally slave soldiers of Turkic and Circassian origin, seized power in Egypt and Syria, establishing the Mamluk Sultanate. Their rule was marked by military prowess, administrative skill, and cultural patronage. They famously defeated the Mongols at Ain Jalut in 1260, halting Mongol expansion into the Muslim world. The Mamluks also expelled the Crusaders from the Levant, securing Muslim dominance in the region. They rebuilt cities, supported religious institutions like Al-Azhar University, and fostered trade. Despite being a military oligarchy, the Mamluks maintained political stability for centuries until the Ottoman conquest in 1517. 29. The Crusader states versus Mamluks. After the First Crusade, European crusaders established several states in the Levant, including the Kingdom of Jerusalem. The Crusader presence challenged Muslim control and led to prolonged conflict. The Mamluks emerged as key opponents, gradually recapturing territories and weakening Crusader influence. Their victory at the Battle of Hattin in 1187 under Saladin preceded the recapture of Jerusalem. Later, Mamluk campaigns expelled Crusaders from their last strongholds by 1291. The conflict shaped military strategies, alliances, and intercultural relations. While marked by violence, it also led to exchanges in medicine, technology, and trade, influencing both Muslim and European societies. 30. The Ottoman rise in Anatolia. The Ottomans began as a small principality in northwestern Anatolia in the late 13th century. Under leaders like Osman I and Orhan, they expanded through conquest and diplomacy, absorbing other Turkish beyliks weakened by Mongol invasions and Byzantine decline. The Ottomans combined effective military tactics, including the use of the elite Janissary Corps, with administrative innovations, such as the Timar land system. By the 15th century, they controlled much of Anatolia and advanced into the Balkans. Their rise signaled the emergence of a powerful empire that would dominate Southeast Europe, Western Asia, and North Africa for centuries, reshaping the region's political and cultural landscape. 31. The conquest of Constantinople. In 1453, the Ottoman Empire, led by Sultan Mehmed II, captured Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire. This conquest ended the Byzantine Empire and marked a turning point in world history. Constantinople, strategically located on the Bosporus Strait, became the new Ottoman capital, renamed Istanbul. The city was transformed into a thriving cultural, economic, and political center, blending Islamic and Byzantine traditions. The conquest opened new trade routes, allowed the Ottomans to control the passage between Asia and Europe, and established them as a dominant Mediterranean power. Mehmed II also promoted religious tolerance, allowing Christians and Jews to maintain their places of worship. The fall of Constantinople signaled the rise of the Ottoman Empire as a global force and shifted the balance of power between East and West. 32. Suleiman the Magnificent's reign. Suleiman the Magnificent R. 1521,566 is often regarded as the greatest Ottoman sultan, known for expanding the empire to its zenith and reforming its legal system. Under his rule, the Ottomans conquered vast territories in Europe, Asia, and Africa, including Hungary and parts of the Middle East. Suleiman was also a patron of arts and architecture, commissioning masterpieces like the Süleymaniye Mosque in Istanbul. His legal reforms, known as the Kanun, harmonized secular laws with Islamic principles, improving governance and justice. Suleiman's reign was marked by military success, cultural flourishing, and administrative efficiency, making the Ottoman Empire one of the most powerful and sophisticated states of the 16th century. 33. The Janissary Corps. The Janissaries were elite infantry units that formed the Ottoman Sultan's household troops and bodyguards. Established in the 14th century, they were originally composed of Christian boys taken from their families through the Devshirme system, converted to Islam, and trained as soldiers. Known for their discipline, military skills, and loyalty, the Janissaries played a crucial role in Ottoman military successes and expansion. Over time, they gained significant political influence, sometimes challenging sultanic authority. Despite reforms, their power eventually contributed to Ottoman decline before the corps was disbanded in the 19th century. The Janissaries represent a unique military institution blending social engineering and imperial ambition. 34. The Safavid Empire and Shia Islam. The Safavid Empire, 1501–1736, was a Persian dynasty that established Twelver Shia Islam as the official religion, distinguishing Persia from its Sunni neighbors. Founded by Shah Ismail I, the Safavids consolidated power in Iran and promoted Shia theology, art, and culture. Their rivalry with the Sunni Ottoman Empire shaped much of the region's political landscape. The Safavid period saw remarkable achievements in architecture, carpet weaving, and poetry. Despite frequent wars with the Ottomans and Uzbeks, the Safavid state fostered a unique Iranian identity centered on Shia Islam. Their legacy continues to influence Iran's religious and cultural identity today. 35. The Mughal Empire's foundation. The Mughal Empire was founded in 1526 by Babur, a descendant of Timur and Genghis Khan, after his victory at the Battle of Panipat in northern India. Combining Central Asian and Persian influences, the Mughals created one of the most powerful and culturally rich empires in South Asia. Babur's successors, like Akbar the Great, expanded the empire and promoted religious tolerance, administrative reforms, and arts. The Mughal Empire blended Islamic and Indian traditions, producing architectural wonders like the Taj Mahal. Their rule profoundly shaped India's demographics, culture, and history. 36. Akbar the Great's religious policy. Akbar, 1556–1605, is celebrated for his policy of religious tolerance and efforts to create harmony in his diverse empire. He abolished the jizya tax on non-Muslims, engaged in religious debates with scholars of various faiths, and even founded a new syncretic religion called Din-e-Ilahi, aiming to unite different religious communities. Akbar's policies fostered cooperation between Muslims, Hindus, Christians, and others, helping maintain peace and stability. His reign also saw artistic and architectural achievements, including the construction of Fatehpur Sikri. Akbar's vision of inclusive governance set a model for pluralism in a multi-religious empire. 37. The decline of the Mughal Empire. By the late 17th and 18th centuries, the Mughal Empire began to decline due to internal strife, weak leadership, and external pressures from emerging regional powers and European colonizers. Aurangzeb's strict policies and constant military campaigns strained the empire's resources and alienated many subjects. The rise of the Marathas, Sikhs, and other local powers weakened Mughal control. European powers like the British East India Company exploited this fragmentation to expand their influence. The empire's decline culminated with the British overthrow after the 1857 Indian Rebellion. Despite political collapse, the Mughals left a lasting cultural and architectural legacy in South Asia. 38. Ottoman architectural achievements. Ottoman architecture flourished between the 15th and 17th centuries, blending Byzantine, Persian, and Islamic influences into distinctive styles. Architects like Mimar Sinan designed grand mosques, bridges, and palaces, including the Selimiye Mosque and Suleymaniye Mosque. Ottoman buildings were characterized by large central domes, slender minarets, intricate tilework, and expansive courtyards. Architecture served religious, political, and social purposes, symbolizing imperial power and Islamic faith. These structures remain key cultural landmarks and exemplify the artistic heights of the Ottoman Empire. 39. The role of scholars in madrasas. Madrasas, Islamic schools, played a central role in education and religious life throughout Muslim empires. They trained scholars in theology, law, science, and literature, preserving and expanding Islamic knowledge. Prominent scholars like Al-Ghazali and Ibn Khaldun taught in these institutions. Madrasas also helped legitimize political authority by educating bureaucrats and judges. The spread of madrasas across the Islamic world fostered intellectual networks that connected cities from Cairo to Samarkand. These centers contributed to the intellectual vibrancy and continuity of Islamic civilization. 40. The Battle of Lepanto. In 1571, the Battle of Lepanto was a major naval engagement between the Ottoman Empire and the Holy League, a coalition of European Catholic states. The Christian fleet won a decisive victory, marking the first significant Ottoman naval defeat. The battle halted Ottoman expansion into the Western Mediterranean and boosted European morale. It was celebrated as a turning point in the struggle between Christian Europe and the Muslim Ottoman Empire. Despite the defeat, the Ottomans quickly rebuilt their fleet and remained a dominant naval power for decades. Lepanto is remembered for its military and symbolic importance in Mediterranean history. 41. The Tulip Era in the Ottoman Empire. The Tulip Era, 1718–1730, was a brief period of peace and cultural flourishing in the Ottoman Empire under Sultan Ahmed III. Named after the popularity of tulips as a symbol of refinement and luxury, the era saw increased interest in European arts, architecture, and technology. The empire relaxed some strict social rules and encouraged artistic expression, including poetry, music, and ceramics. The Tulip Era also marked the beginning of Ottoman diplomatic relations with Western powers. However, the period ended with the Patrona Halil Revolt, revealing tensions between conservative factions and reformists. Despite its short duration, the Tulip era signaled the empire's early attempts at modernization and openness to new ideas. 42. The Siege of Vienna, 1683. The 1683 Siege of Vienna was a critical turning point during the Ottoman Empire's push into Europe. Led by Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa, the Ottomans aimed to capture Vienna and expand their territory. However, the city's defenders, bolstered by a coalition of European forces including the Polish King Jan III Sobieski, successfully repelled the siege. The failure marked the beginning of the Ottoman retreat from Central Europe. This event weakened Ottoman influence in the region and shifted the balance of power in favor of European states. The siege remains emblematic of the intense rivalry between the Ottoman Empire and European powers. 43. The role of women in Muslim courts. Women in Muslim empires, especially in royal courts, often wielded significant but behind-the-scenes influence. In the Ottoman Empire, the Sultanate of Women, 16th–17th centuries, saw powerful women like Hurrem Sultan, Roxolana, shape politics, diplomacy, and succession. They patronized architecture, charity, and education, influencing cultural life. Although Islamic law limited women's public roles, elite women could exert authority within the palace and beyond. Their political maneuvering affected court intrigue and governance, demonstrating the complex social dynamics within Muslim empires. 44. The Safavid-Ottoman rivalry. The rivalry between the Sunni Ottoman Empire and the Shia Safavid Empire defined much of Middle Eastern politics from the 16th to the 18th centuries. Their competing religious ideologies fueled wars over territory, including Iraq and Eastern Anatolia. The conflict shaped regional identities and borders still relevant today. Both empires engaged in military campaigns, diplomacy, and cultural patronage to assert dominance. Despite hostilities, periods of peace allowed trade and cultural exchanges. This rivalry illustrates how sectarian and political competition influenced Islamic history's course. 45. The spread of Islam in Southeast Asia. Islam spread into Southeast Asia through trade, missionary work, and cultural exchange, starting around the 13th century. Muslim merchants from India, Arabia, and Persia introduced Islam to coastal port cities like Malacca and Aceh. Local rulers embraced Islam for its political and economic advantages, integrating it with indigenous customs. Islamic schools and Sufi orders played key roles in conversion and community building. The region's Islam developed unique features blending Islamic principles with local traditions. Today, Southeast Asia hosts one of the world's largest Muslim populations, reflecting centuries of interaction and adaptation. 46. The role of calligraphy in Islamic art. Calligraphy holds a special place in Islamic art due to the prohibition of depicting human figures in religious contexts. Arabic script became a revered art form, used to decorate mosques, manuscripts, and everyday objects. Calligraphers transformed Quranic verses into intricate designs, reflecting both spiritual devotion and aesthetic mastery. Different styles like Kufic and Naskh developed across regions. Calligraphy's prominence highlights the importance of the written word in Islam and its fusion of beauty and meaning, influencing artistic traditions beyond the Muslim world. 47. The Mughal court and artistic patronage. The Mughal emperors were renowned patrons of art and culture, fostering a vibrant court life that blended Persian, Indian, and Islamic influences. Akbar, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan commissioned magnificent palaces, gardens, and miniature paintings. Their support extended to literature, music, and architecture, with the Taj Mahal being the most famous example. Mughal art emphasized intricate detail, vibrant colors, and naturalistic themes. This artistic flourishing reflected imperial power and cultural synthesis, influencing South Asian aesthetics for centuries. 48. The Ottoman legal system. The Ottoman legal system combined Islamic Sharia law with sultanic laws, qanun, issued by the sultans to address administrative and civil matters. This dual system allowed flexibility and centralized governance. Religious courts handled family law, inheritance, and moral issues. while the state courts managed taxation, land, and criminal cases. The legal system was administered by qadis, judges, and reinforced by scholars. It maintained social order and legitimacy across a diverse population, balancing religious tradition with practical governance in a multi-ethnic empire. 49. The decline of the Safavid Empire. The Safavid Empire declined in the early 18th century due to weak leadership, internal revolts, and external invasions, notably by Afghan tribes. Economic difficulties and religious factionalism further destabilized the state. The Afghan capture of Isfahan in 1722 marked a symbolic collapse of Safavid power. Although later attempts to revive the dynasty occurred, the empire never regained its former strength. Its decline allowed the rise of new powers, including the Qajars in Persia and the expansion of Ottoman and Russian influence. The fall of the Safavids underscores the fragility of empire amid changing political landscapes. 50. The role of Sufism in empire building. Sufi orders played a significant role in the spread of Islam and the consolidation of Muslim empires. Their networks extended across vast territories, facilitating conversions, trade, and cultural exchange. Sufi leaders often acted as mediators between rulers and local populations, legitimizing political authority through spiritual guidance. In the Ottoman, Safavid, and Mughal empires, Sufism helped integrate diverse peoples into imperial frameworks. The mystical appeal of Sufism attracted followers across social classes and ethnic groups, contributing to empire stability and identity. This spiritual dimension was central to the resilience and expansion of Muslim empires. 51. The Golden Age of Islamic Science. During the Abbasid Caliphate, 8th–13th centuries, the Islamic world experienced a remarkable scientific flourishing known as the Golden Age of Islamic science. Scholars in cities like Baghdad, Cairo, and Cordoba made groundbreaking advances in mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and chemistry. Figures such as Al-Khwarizmi, the father of algebra, and Ibn Sina, a renowned physician, produced works that influenced both the Islamic world and Europe. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad became a center for translating Greek and Persian texts into Arabic, preserving ancient knowledge. This intellectual boom was supported by patronage from caliphs and rulers, reflecting the high value placed on learning and innovation. The era laid foundations for modern science and technology. 52. The role of Baghdad as a cultural hub. Founded in 762 CE by the Abbasid Caliph al-Mansur, Baghdad quickly became the heart of the Islamic world, known for its political, cultural, and intellectual vibrancy. The city's round design symbolized its centrality and unity. It housed the legendary House of Wisdom, where scholars translated and synthesized knowledge from various civilizations. Baghdad attracted poets, philosophers, scientists, and artists, fostering cross-cultural dialogue. Its libraries and madrasas preserved classical texts and produced original works. Baghdad's prosperity was linked to its position on major trade routes, making it a cosmopolitan metropolis. Despite later destruction by the Mongols in 1258, Baghdad's legacy endures as a beacon of medieval Islamic civilization. 53. The Mongol invasions and Islamic resilience. The Mongol invasions of the 13th century devastated large parts of the Islamic world, including the sack of Baghdad in 1258, which ended the Abbasid Caliphate. Despite widespread destruction and loss of life, Muslim societies demonstrated remarkable resilience. The Ilkhanate, a Mongol state in Persia, eventually converted to Islam, blending Mongol and Islamic traditions. Other regions, like the Mamluk Sultanate in Egypt, successfully resisted further Mongol incursions. The invasions disrupted political structures but also led to cultural exchanges and new power dynamics. The survival and adaptation of Muslim empires after the Mongol onslaught exemplify their strength and flexibility. 54. The importance of the Hajj pilgrimage. The Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca is one of the 5 pillars of Islam and a unifying religious practice for Muslims worldwide. Throughout history, Muslim empires invested heavily in protecting and facilitating the pilgrimage routes, ensuring safety and hospitality for pilgrims. The annual gathering promoted religious solidarity and cultural exchange among diverse Muslim communities. Empires like the Ottomans maintained the Hijaz region and built infrastructure such as caravanserais and water stations to support pilgrims. The Hajj also had political significance, as rulers used their role as protectors of Islam's holiest sites to legitimize their authority. The pilgrimage remains a powerful symbol of Islamic unity and devotion. 55. The Battle of Ain Jalut. In 1260, the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt faced the advancing Mongols at the Battle of Ain Jalut in present-day Palestine. This battle marked the first major defeat of the Mongols, halting their westward expansion into the Muslim heartlands. The Mamluks' victory preserved Islamic civilization and prevented further devastation. The battle demonstrated the military skill and strategic acumen of the Mamluks, who used cavalry tactics and local knowledge effectively. Ain Jalut boosted Muslim morale and solidified Mamluk legitimacy as defenders of Islam. It is remembered as a defining moment in the survival of the Islamic world during a period of intense upheaval. 56. The Abbasid Caliphate's intellectual legacy. The Abbasid Caliphate, 751,258 CE, is renowned for its cultural and intellectual achievements. The caliphs patronized scholars, poets, and scientists, fostering a vibrant intellectual atmosphere. Innovations in philosophy, literature, medicine, and astronomy flourished. The translation movement brought Greek, Persian, and Indian texts into Arabic, preserving ancient knowledge. Figures like Al-Farabi and Al-Razi made lasting contributions. The caliphate's capital, Baghdad, became a global center of learning. Despite political decline in the Mongol conquest, the Abbasid intellectual legacy deeply influenced later Islamic empires and the European Renaissance, underscoring the enduring power of knowledge. 57. The role of Islamic banking and trade. Islamic banking and trade practices developed to facilitate commerce while adhering to Islamic law, Sharia. Concepts like the prohibition of interest riba led to alternative financial instruments based on profit sharing and partnership. Muslim merchants used bills of credit and trade caravans to conduct business across continents. The establishment of market regulations and trusts, WACs, supported social welfare and economic stability. Islamic financial ethics promoted honesty, transparency, and risk sharing, contributing to the prosperity of empires like the Abbasids and Ottomans. These early financial innovations influenced global trade and banking systems. 58. The Fatimid Caliphate's architectural wonders. The Fatimid Caliphate, 909-1171 CE, ruled parts of North Africa and the Middle East, including Egypt, where they founded Cairo. They left a rich architectural heritage, blending Islamic, Byzantine, and local styles. The Al-Azhar Mosque, established in 970 CE, became a leading center of Islamic learning. Fatimid palaces and mosques featured intricate decorations, calligraphy, and innovative designs. Their architecture reflected political power and religious identity. Fatimid contributions helped shape Islamic art and urban development in the Mediterranean and remain influential today. 59. The role of poetry in Islamic culture. Poetry was central to Islamic culture, serving as a vehicle for spiritual expression, social critique, and political commentary. Classical poets like Rumi, Hafez, and Al-Mutanabi crafted verses exploring themes of love, faith, and existence. Poetry often merged with music and oral storytelling, preserving history and values. In courts, poets enjoyed patronage and influenced rulers. Islamic poetry transcended linguistic and cultural boundaries, inspiring generations and connecting diverse communities. Its enduring legacy highlights the emotional and intellectual richness of Muslim civilizations. 60. The Ottoman-Safavid border conflicts. From the 16th century onwards, the Ottoman and Safavid empires frequently clashed over control of border regions in eastern Anatolia and the Caucasus. These conflicts were fueled by religious differences, Sunni Ottomans versus Shia Safavid territorial ambitions. Battles like Chaldiran, 1514, and subsequent wars shaped the political map of the Middle East. These border struggles affected local populations, trade routes, and diplomatic relations. The persistent rivalry underscored the sectarian and political complexities within the Muslim world, influencing the future of regional geopolitics. 61. The rise of the Mamluk Sultanate. The Mamluk Sultanate, 1250–1517, emerged in Egypt after the decline of the Ayyubid dynasty. Originally slave soldiers of Turkic and Circassian origin, the Mamluks seized power, establishing a military oligarchy that ruled Egypt and Syria. They are best known for halting the Mongol advance at the Battle of Ain Jalut in 1260, preserving the Islamic world's heartlands. The Mamluks fostered trade, especially through the Red Sea and Mediterranean, boosting Cairo's prosperity. Their reign was marked by architectural achievements like the construction of grand mosques and madrasas. Despite challenges from Ottoman expansion, the Mamluks maintained independence for centuries, symbolizing military prowess and political resilience in a turbulent era. 62. The role of coffee houses in Ottoman society. Coffee houses became vital social institutions in the Ottoman Empire starting in the 16th century. Originating in Yemen and spreading through the empire, these venues were more than places to drink coffee. They were hubs for intellectual discussion, poetry, recitation, political debate, and socializing. Coffee houses contributed to public life, fostering cultural exchange and community bonding across different social classes. However, authorities sometimes viewed them with suspicion, fearing political unrest. Despite this, coffee culture thrived and spread across Europe, influencing global customs. The Ottoman coffee house exemplifies how a simple beverage became a catalyst for social transformation. 63. The Delhi Sultanate's foundation. The Delhi Sultanate was established in 1206 by Qutb-ud-Din Aibak, a former slave who rose to power after the Ghurid Empire's collapse. This sultanate ruled large parts of northern India and introduced Islamic governance, law, and culture to the region. It faced constant challenges from Mongol invasions and local Hindu kingdoms, but played a crucial role in shaping the religious and political landscape of medieval India. The Delhi Sultanate also laid the groundwork for the later Mughal Empire. Its architectural legacies, such as the Qutb Minar, and administrative innovations, had a lasting impact on South Asia's history. 64. The impact of the Reconquista on Muslim Spain. The Reconquista, spanning several centuries, was the Christian reconquest of the Iberian Peninsula from Muslim rule. The fall of Granada in 1492 ended the last Muslim kingdom in Spain, the Nasrid dynasty. This event drastically changed the region's religious and cultural makeup. Muslims, Jews, and Christians had coexisted for centuries, creating a unique cultural synthesis. The Reconquista led to forced conversions, expulsions, and the decline of Islamic influence in Spain. However, the legacy of Al-Andalus's architecture, science, and philosophy continued to inspire European culture. The Reconquista symbolizes both the rise and fall of Muslim power in medieval Europe. 65. The role of the ulama in Islamic governance. The ulama are religious scholars who interpret Islamic law and theology. Throughout Muslim empires, they played a key role in governance, advising rulers and administering justice. Their authority often balanced that of political leaders, as they ensured laws conformed to Sharia. The ulama ran courts, schools, and mosques, influencing social norms and education. While sometimes supportive of rulers, they also resisted reforms conflicting with religious principles. Their presence was crucial in maintaining the religious legitimacy of empires, shaping legal frameworks, and preserving Islamic tradition through centuries of change. 66. The Safavid use of art and architecture. The Safavid dynasty used art and architecture to assert their religious and political identity. They commissioned magnificent mosques, palaces, and gardens, especially in their capital, Isfahan. The city became renowned for its stunning tilework, calligraphy, and symmetrical designs, reflecting Shia devotion and Persian aesthetics. Structures like the Shah Mosque exemplify Safavid grandeur and spirituality. Art was also used to propagate Shia Islam, with motifs and inscriptions emphasizing the dynasty's divine right to rule. These cultural achievements helped solidify Safavid authority and created a lasting Iranian artistic tradition. 67. The influence of Persian culture on the Mughal Empire. Persian culture profoundly influenced the Mughal Empire, shaping its language, art, administration, and court life. Persian became the empire's official language, used in literature, diplomacy, and governance. Mughal architecture blended Persian, Indian, and Islamic styles, producing iconic monuments like the Taj Mahal. Persian poetry and miniature painting flourished under Mughal patronage. The empire's administration adopted Persian bureaucratic models, facilitating efficient governance. This cultural fusion created a rich, syncretic civilization that bridged Central Asia and the Indian subcontinent, contributing to South Asia's diverse heritage. 68. The role of caravanserais in Muslim trade. Caravanserais were roadside inns that supported trade and travel across the vast Muslim empires. Positioned along key trade routes, they provided lodging, food, and security for merchants and their animals. These establishments facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures between Asia, Africa, and Europe. Caravanserais also helped standardize trade practices and supported economic prosperity. Their presence highlights the importance of infrastructure in sustaining long-distance commerce, which was vital for the wealth and connectivity of Muslim empires. 69. The Battle of Talas, 751 CE. The Battle of Talas was fought between the Abbasid Caliphate and the Tang dynasty of China near the Talas River. The Abbasids' victory halted Chinese westward expansion and opened Central Asia to Islamic influence. This battle also led to the transfer of paper-making technology from China to the Islamic world, revolutionizing communication and record-keeping. The battle had long-lasting consequences for the cultural and political landscape of Central Asia, contributing to the spread of Islam along the Silk Road and fostering interactions between East and West. 70. The role of the Mughals in religious architecture. The Mughal emperors used religious architecture to symbolize their power and religious devotion. They built impressive mosques, tombs, and gardens that blended Islamic, Persian, and Indian styles. The Jama Masjid in Delhi and the Taj Mahal in Agra are prime examples of Mughal architectural mastery. These monuments serve both religious functions and imperial propaganda, demonstrating the empire's wealth and cultural sophistication. Mughal architecture remains a testament to the dynasty's artistic vision and spiritual values, influencing South Asian architecture for centuries. 71. The role of the Janissaries in the Ottoman military. The Janissaries were an elite infantry corps in the Ottoman Empire, established in the 14th century. Originally composed of Christian boys taken through the Devshirme system and converted to Islam, they were trained as highly disciplined soldiers loyal only to the Sultan. The Janissaries played a pivotal role in Ottoman military successes, including the conquest of Constantinople in 1453. Over time, they gained political influence, sometimes involving themselves in palace intrigues and succession disputes. Despite their military prowess, by the 17th century, their power contributed to stagnation and corruption. Eventually, Sultan Mahmud II disbanded the Janissaries in 1826 to modernize the army, marking a significant shift in Ottoman military and political structure. 72. The scientific contributions of Ibn al-Haytham. Ibn al-Haytham, 965–1040, known in the West as Alhazen, was a pioneering Muslim scientist in optics and experimental physics. Living during the Islamic Golden Age, he challenged previous Greek ideas about vision by demonstrating that light reflects off objects into the eye, rather than the eye emitting light. His book, the Book of Optics, laid foundational principles of the scientific method through systematic experimentation and observation. Ibn al-Haytham's work influenced medieval European scientists centuries later. His contributions underscore the significant advancements made by Muslim scholars in understanding the natural world. 73. The Ottoman Siege of Rhodes, 1522. In 1522, Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent launched a massive siege against the Knights Hospitaller, who held the island of Rhodes in the eastern Mediterranean. The Knights had controlled Rhodes since the Crusades, making it a strategic stronghold. After months of fierce fighting, the Ottomans succeeded in capturing the island, forcing the Knights to relocate to Malta. The victory secured Ottoman dominance in the eastern Mediterranean, bolstering their naval power and control over key trade routes. The siege demonstrated Ottoman military strength and was a crucial step in their expansion into Europe and the Mediterranean basin. 74. The Mughal Emperor Akbar's religious policies. Akbar the Great R. 1556–1605 is celebrated for his policy of religious tolerance and efforts to foster harmony in his multi-religious empire. He abolished the jizya tax on non-Muslims and included Hindus, Christians, Jains, and others in his court. Akbar even founded a new faith, Din-e-Ilahi, blending elements from various religions, promoting unity. His approach reduced sectarian tensions and strengthened the empire politically and socially. Akbar's policy influenced later rulers and remains an example of pragmatic governance in a diverse society. 75. The architectural marvel of the Alhambra. The Alhambra, located in Granada, Spain, is a stunning palace and fortress complex built by the Nasrid dynasty during the final centuries of Muslim rule in Spain. Its intricate stucco work, tile mosaics, and lush gardens exemplify Islamic art and architecture's sophistication. The Alhambra served as a royal residence and symbol of Nasrid power. Following the Reconquista in 1492, it became a symbol of the cultural blending and conflict between Muslim and Christian Spain. Today, the Alhambra stands as a testament to the artistic achievements and legacy of Al-Andalus. 76. The Ottoman Safavid Peace Treaty of Zuhab, 1639. The Treaty of Zuhab ended decades of conflict between the Ottoman and Safavid empires over territory in the Caucasus and Mesopotamia. Signed in 1639, it established borders that roughly correspond to modern Iran and Iraq. The treaty brought relative peace and stabilized trade and political relations in the region. It also acknowledged the religious and ethnic complexities of border areas, balancing Sunni Ottoman and Shia Safavid interests. This treaty was significant in shaping Middle Eastern geopolitics and remains a foundation for contemporary borders. 77. The influence of Andalusian music. Music in Al-Andalus blended Arab, Berber, Iberian, and Jewish traditions, creating a unique Andalusian style. This musical culture flourished in courts and cities, influencing later European music. Instruments like the oud and ney were prominent, and poetry often accompanied musical performances. Andalusian music played a role in social life, religious ceremonies, and storytelling. Even after the fall of Muslim Spain, its influence spread to North Africa and the Mediterranean, preserving the region's multicultural heritage through sound and rhythm. 78. The role of waqfs in social welfare. Waqf endowments were charitable trusts established by Muslim rulers and elites to fund public services like schools, hospitals, mosques, and fountains. These endowments ensured social welfare and infrastructure without relying solely on state budgets. Waqfs contributed to education, health, and poverty alleviation, reflecting Islamic principles of charity and community responsibility. They played a vital role in sustaining urban life and culture in Muslim cities. The Waqf system demonstrated the intertwining of religion, society, and governance in Islamic empires. 79. The fall of Granada, 492. Granada was the last Muslim stronghold in Spain, ruled by the Nasrid dynasty. Its fall to the Catholic monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella in 1492 marked the end of over 7 centuries of Muslim presence on the Iberian Peninsula. The surrender led to significant cultural and religious shifts, including forced conversions and expulsions. Despite this, Granada's legacy endures through its architecture, literature, and the multicultural exchanges it fostered. The event symbolizes the dramatic turning point in European and Islamic history, highlighting themes of conquest, coexistence, and cultural transformation. 80. The Safavid conversion of Iran to Shia Islam. The Safavid dynasty established Twelver Shia Islam as the state religion of Persia in the early 16th century. This conversion marked a decisive religious and political shift, differentiating Iran from its Sunni neighbors, especially the Ottoman Empire. The Safavids enforced Shia practices and built shrines, mosques, and educational institutions to promote the faith. This religious identity shaped Iran's national character and continues to influence its politics and culture. The Safavid conversion also intensified sectarian divisions in the Muslim world, with long-lasting regional implications. 81. The Abbasid Caliphate's decline. After centuries of cultural and scientific flourishing, the Abbasid Caliphate began to weaken in the 10th century due to internal strife, economic challenges, and external pressures. The Caliphate fragmented into smaller, semi-independent states, losing control over vast territories. The rise of powerful military leaders such as the Boyhids and later the Seljuks further eroded Abbasid authority. The 1258 Mongol sack of Baghdad was a devastating blow that effectively ended Abbasid political power, though a shadow caliphate persisted in Cairo under the Mamluks. Despite its decline, the Abbasid legacy shaped Islamic governance, culture, and intellectual life for centuries. 82. The Umayyad Caliphate in Spain. After the Abbasids took power in the east, the Umayyad prince Abd al-Rahman I first fled to Spain, establishing the Emirate of Córdoba in 756 CE. Under his descendants, the region flourished as Al-Andalus, becoming a beacon of art, science, and culture in medieval Europe. The Umayyads in Spain built architectural marvels like the Great Mosque of Córdoba and fostered a multicultural society where Muslims, Christians, and Jews contributed to a rich intellectual environment. This dynasty's rule ended in fragmented Taifa kingdoms but left a profound legacy in Iberian history. 83. The Ottoman conquest of Constantinople, 1453. The fall of Constantinople to Sultan Mehmed II marked a turning point in world history. The conquest ended the Byzantine Empire and established Istanbul as the new Ottoman capital. The Ottomans utilized massive cannons and innovative siege tactics to breach the city's formidable walls. This victory allowed the Ottomans to dominate southeastern Europe and control key trade routes between Europe and Asia. Constantinople became a vibrant cultural and political center, blending Islamic and Byzantine traditions. The conquest symbolized the rise of Ottoman power and the transformation of the medieval world. 84. The spread of Islam in Southeast Asia. Islam arrived in Southeast Asia through trade routes connecting the Muslim world with the Indonesian archipelago and the Malay Peninsula. From the 13th century onward, Muslim traders, scholars, and missionaries introduced Islam peacefully, blending it with local customs and traditions. Sultanates like Malacca became centers of Islamic learning and trade, spreading the faith throughout the region. This unique process of Islamization resulted in a vibrant Muslim culture, distinct from Middle Eastern norms. Southeast Asia remains home to the world's largest Muslim population today. 85. The role of women in Muslim empires. Women in Muslim empires held diverse roles ranging from political leaders and patrons of the arts to scholars and businesswomen. Figures like Razia Sultana, the only female ruler of the Delhi Sultanate, challenged patriarchal norms. Women also influenced courts behind the scenes, such as the powerful Ottoman Sultan mothers, Valide Sultan, In the arts, women contributed to literature and education, while in society, they managed waqfs and charitable institutions. Their roles varied by region and period, reflecting the complexity and dynamism of gender in Islamic history. 86. The Ottoman Navy's rise in power. The Ottoman Empire developed one of the most formidable naval forces of the 15th and 16th centuries, projecting power across the Mediterranean, Red Sea, and Persian Gulf. Under admirals like Barbarossa Hayreddin Pasha, the Ottoman Navy secured sea lanes, fought European powers, and protected trade routes. The Navy's strength was key to Ottoman dominance, enabling the empire to expand its influence and protect its coastal territories. Its rivalry with the Spanish and Venetian navies shaped Mediterranean geopolitics for centuries. 87. The role of Sufism in Islamic culture. Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam, emphasized personal spirituality, devotion, and inner purification. Sufi orders spread widely throughout Muslim empires, attracting followers through poetry, music, and rituals. Figures like Rumi and al-Ghazali shaped Islamic thought with teachings that balanced orthodox Islam and mysticism. Sufi lodges, khanqahs, became centers of social welfare and education. Sufism helped bridge ethnic and sectarian divides, fostering a sense of unity and deepening religious experience. 88. The Ottoman legal system and Sharia. The Ottoman Empire combined Islamic law, Sharia, with customary laws, Qanun, to govern its diverse population. The ulama, religious scholars, interpreted Sharia, while sultans issued Qanun to address administrative and fiscal matters. This dual system allowed flexibility and centralized control. Courts adjudicated civil, criminal, and family matters, reflecting Islamic principles adapted to changing social realities. The legal framework contributed to the empire's stability and longevity, balancing tradition and pragmatism. 89. The Mughal patronage of art and literature. The Mughal emperors were avid patrons of art and literature, fostering a rich cultural environment that blended Persian, Indian, and Islamic influences. Under rulers like Akbar and Jahangir, miniature painting flourished, depicting court scenes, nature, and mythology. Persian poetry and prose thrived alongside local languages. Mughal architecture, calligraphy, and garden design reflected imperial aesthetics and spiritual ideals. This cultural patronage enhanced the empire's prestige and left a lasting legacy in South Asia. 90. The decline of the Safavid Empire. By the late 17th century, the Safavid Empire faced internal decline due to weak leadership, court intrigues, and economic difficulties. Repeated wars with the Ottoman Empire and Afghan invasions weakened its borders. The decline culminated in the Afghan sack of Isfahan in 1722, marking the collapse of Safavid rule. Despite its fall, the Safavid legacy endured through its promotion of Shia Islam, Persian culture, and artistic achievements, influencing Iran's identity for centuries to come. 91. The Almoravid Empire and its influence. The Almoravid Empire, 1041,147, was a Berber Muslim dynasty that emerged from the Sahara and expanded into North Africa and Al-Andalus, Muslim Spain. Known for their strict interpretation of Islam, the Almoravids united diverse tribes and established a powerful military state. They played a key role in defending Muslim territories against Christian Reconquista forces. The Almoravids introduced reforms in law and religion, influencing Islamic scholarship and architecture. Although eventually supplanted by the Almohads, their legacy shaped the Maghreb and Iberian Peninsula's religious and political landscape. 92. The role of Baghdad as a center of learning. Baghdad, founded in 762 CE by the Abbasids, became the intellectual heart of the Islamic Golden Age. The city housed the famous House of Wisdom, where scholars translated and preserved Greek, Persian, and Indian texts. Advances in medicine, mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy flourished here. Scholars like Al-Khwarizmi, Al-Razi, and Al-Farabi contributed foundational knowledge still respected today. Baghdad's role as a vibrant cultural and scientific hub attracted intellectuals from across the Muslim world and beyond, shaping global knowledge for centuries. 93. The Fatimid Caliphate and Cairo's founding. The Fatimid Caliphate, 909–1171, a Shia dynasty originating in North Africa, established Cairo as its capital in 969 CE. Cairo quickly became a major center of trade, learning, and culture. The Fatimids founded Al-Azhar University, one of the oldest continuously operating universities worldwide, which remains a leading institution in Islamic studies. The Fatimids promoted religious tolerance within their diverse empire and left behind a rich architectural heritage. Their rule influenced the political and religious dynamics of Egypt and the broader Islamic world. 94. The importance of the Silk Road in Islamic trade. The Silk Road was a vast network of trade routes connecting the East and West, crucial for the economic and cultural exchange during Muslim empires. Muslim merchants transported silk, spices, precious metals, and ideas across Asia, Africa, and Europe. Cities like Samarkand and Baghdad prospered as trading hubs. The Silk Road facilitated the spread of Islam along with goods and technologies. It helped shape the interconnectedness of medieval civilizations, contributing to the rise of cosmopolitan centers within Muslim empires. 95. The influence of Islamic medicine. Muslim physicians made remarkable advances in medicine during the medieval period. Figures like Ibn Sina, Avicenna, wrote comprehensive medical texts, such as the Canon of Medicine, which guided practitioners for centuries. Hospitals in cities like Cairo and Damascus provided care for diverse populations. Islamic medicine integrated knowledge from Greek, Persian, and Indian traditions and emphasized hygiene, pharmacology, and surgery. These contributions were transmitted to Europe and played a foundational role in the development of modern medicine. 96. The role of Islamic calligraphy and art. Islamic calligraphy became a major artistic form due to religious restrictions on depicting living beings. It transformed into a highly sophisticated art, decorating mosques, manuscripts, and everyday objects. Calligraphy conveyed Quranic verses and poetry, linking art with spirituality. Various scripts like Kufic and Naskh evolved, influencing artistic expression across Muslim empires. Islamic art also included intricate geometric patterns and arabesques, symbolizing unity and infinity. This artistic tradition remains a defining feature of Islamic cultural identity. 97. The impact of the Crusades on Muslim empires. The Crusades 1096–1291 were military campaigns launched by European Christians to reclaim the Holy Land. Muslim empires faced repeated invasions but ultimately repelled the Crusaders. Leaders like Saladin emerged as iconic figures for uniting Muslim forces and recapturing Jerusalem in 1187. The Crusades led to increased military organization, cultural exchanges, and economic impacts on both sides. They also intensified Christian-Muslim hostilities, shaping centuries of conflict and interaction in the region. 98. The decline of the Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire began to decline in the 18th century due to internal strife, weak rulers, and increasing European colonial interference. The empire fractured as regional powers asserted independence, and British influence grew through trade and military conquest. The weakening of centralized authority led to economic difficulties and social unrest. By the mid-19th century, the British formally dissolved the empire, marking the end of a major Muslim imperial power in South Asia. Despite this, the Mughal legacy continues to influence Indian culture, architecture, and society. 99. The Ottoman Tanzimat reforms. In the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire undertook the Tanzimat reforms to modernize the state and halt its decline. These reforms introduced new legal codes, administrative changes, and efforts to centralize authority. They sought to create equal rights for all citizens regardless of religion, reform the military, and improve education and infrastructure. While they temporarily strengthened the empire, resistance from conservative factions and nationalist movements limited their success. Tanzimat marked a key moment in the empire's struggle to adapt to a changing world. 100. The legacy of Muslim empires today. The legacies of Muslim empires endure in language, art, architecture, governance, and religious traditions across the Middle East, North Africa, South Asia, and beyond. They shaped global trade, science, culture, and diplomacy, fostering connections between diverse peoples. Many modern nations trace their identities to these empires, and their historical achievements continue to inspire. The rise and fall of Muslim empires remind us of the complexities of power, culture, and faith throughout history and their lasting impact on the modern world. The stories of the Muslim empires, spanning centuries and continents, reveal a vibrant tapestry of achievement, resilience, and transformation. From the intellectual brilliance of Baghdad's scholars to the architectural marvels of the Alhambra and Taj Mahal, these empires shaped the course of world history in profound ways. Their rulers and peoples navigated challenges of governance, warfare, culture, and faith, creating legacies that resonate to this day. The rise of these empires often stemmed from visionary leadership, military innovation, and cultural openness. Yet their falls remind us of the fragile balance between power and sustainability affected by internal strife, external pressures, and changing times. Through periods of tolerance and conflict, expansion and decline, Muslim empires influenced not only the Islamic world, but also Europe, Africa, and Asia, weaving connections that enriched civilizations. Today, the heritage of these empires remains alive in language, art, legal traditions, and religious practices. Understanding their histories offers valuable lessons about diversity, leadership, and cultural exchange. As we remember these forgotten stories, we gain deeper insight into a shared human history shaped by complex interactions and enduring aspirations. The journey through these 100 stories invites reflection on the cyclical nature of empires and the timeless quest for knowledge, justice, and unity. It encourages us to appreciate the contributions of the Muslim world to global civilization and to recognize the ongoing relevance of their experiences in our modern era.